one was worth. Hello, my lovely friends. I'm here to talk about the 2025 Game Awards. As usual, I'm going to go over all of the highlights, the stuff that stood out to me, anything that I have any kind of opinion on. Obviously, it's like a whole lot of games, so, I'm really not even touching on that much percentage-wise, but I'm doing my best here, and then at the end, I'll go over, some of the various happenings throughout and my overall thoughts. Let us begin. The first reveal was for a game called The Free Shepherd. It's kind of funny. It was pretty darn recently. It was like this year that we got, it was called Herdlings, right? So it seems that now herding games set in big, weird, fantasy landscapes, it's a genre now. You get two. It's officially a genre. I don't make the rules. But yeah, you get to play as a cool dog. You get to herd sheep. Looks, looks cool. I am interested. Although I will say, there was kind of an annoying trend at this here Game Awards of games that don't really look that big. Yeah, they look fine, but revealed for 2027. I feel like if you're revealing a game for multiple years away, I mean, I know we're at the end of 2025, but still, we're going to go through all of 26 before we get to 27. We don't know when in 27 some of these are going to be. So these games where it's if it's a big AAA game, even that's annoying. I still don't like that. I kind of feel like no game should be revealed multiple years before it is projected to be done. But yeah, I don't know, games that are not huge AAA games. So it's why are you even revealing this now? I don't know. I guess it's kind of an industry thing. It's probably to get people interested, because the more people you have interested, then people wish list and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. 2027 for a game like this. It just feels weird. Then we had Decrepit, and I know. Dark fantasy Souls-likes, they're a dime a dozen at this point. This one looks pretty cool, though, and actually, it is first person. We are now, entering the age of the first-person Souls-like, but this one really has, classic first-person dungeon crawler vibes. And if anything, more than a Souls-like, this would be a Kingsfield-like before Demon's Souls and Dark Souls from Soft did Kingsfield. So, and I never played it, but I feel like this is probably more in line with that. I like how it really hones in on the whole, ghoulish, bald zombie guys in cages and actual dungeons kind of thing. It's got an old school vibe to it, but it's overall a more modern project. I think it looks cool. Then there was Tank Rat, and this is not a game that I see myself playing. However, I do want to give credit where credit is due, especially in a presentation where, there's a lot of not super impressive looking stuff. This game looks cool. It just looks cool. Yeah, I'm not really into this kind of thing overall, but it's this third person tank thing, and I don't know. It simply looks fun. The gameplay looks really good, and there's even some, customization element. So, looks like a good game. Here's kind of a surprising one. Bradley the Badger is one of those games where you really don't know what you're looking at. It takes a while, because the trailer takes you so many weird places. It takes a bit to really figure out what's going on. Yeah, a colorful 3D platformer with some puzzle platforming kind of stuff, but this little colorful character is traveling through what seem to be parodies of PlayStation games. There's a Last of Us one, there's a Bloodborne one. Yeah, I don't know. The humor, I'm not quite sold on the humor, so I don't really know if this is going to be a game for me. He talks a lot. There's a lot of that humor. There's a lot of the talking from the little snarky character. I don't know about that. But conceptually, I think it is very interesting. I'm pretty curious to see how this one turns out. All right, want to talk about Bombshells. We're finally getting that new KOTOR game, or rather, FOTOR in this case. Fates of the Old Republic. They're doing it. I never played the KOTOR games, but I did play the Mass Effect games, and, if they're anything like that, which I know they are, I can imagine that this is an announcement that made some people happy. Very, very, very happy. And they're even getting Casey Hudson to do it, so that's a pretty big deal. The only real problem is that, you know, it's a Star Wars game, and we have had multiple really enormous cancellations of Star Wars games in the recent past. So you really don't know what they're going to do with it or if they're going to pull it off. But there have been good Star Wars games. That has happened. So, you know, it's good to stay hopeful, and hopefully they are able to pull it off. Because, yeah, that's a big deal. So then Larian, you know, they did Baldur's Gate 3. They revealed their new game, a new Divinity game. I've never played the Divinity games, but I hear they're kind of similar. And so this is another one that was probably a really big deal. But the only thing I really have opinions on is the way they revealed it. I'm not going to show it. Maybe I'll show part of it, but I'm not going to show the actual trailer. Because even considering this is a video on the Game Awards, where naturally there's going to be a lot of adult-themed footage shown, this one goes a little too far outside my comfort zone. Just absolutely over the top, disgusting, like absolutely crazy. This trailer, like purposefully though, not just like, because like we've all seen a lot of like violent stuff, and I'm not even saying just like, you know, I have played video games, I've seen movies. There's not like a too much for me, but there's definitely like an element here where it's like, I mean, I don't want to say bad taste, but it's like, I don't know, it's verging in that territory where it's kind of like, yeah, I'm not offended that you showed this, but I do wonder if it was a good choice for the Game Awards. You know, Jeff Keighley being like, more people watch the Game Awards than the Super Bowl. It's this massive thing. So let's put this incredibly, horrifically gruesome and disgusting trailer. Just funny. Really, it's really a thing. I mean, that's good marketing, right? They didn't need it. They didn't necessarily need it. You know, the name Larian, that carries a lot of weight, but apparently they wanted to shock us. And I'll just say, you know, we've all got our Game Awards bingo cards, and orc puking on a pig was not on mine this year. Then slightly more lighthearted, we had Coven of the Chicken Foot. You seem to be, it's called Coven of the Chicken Foot, and you do play as some sort of chicken-footed lady. I assume now she is a witch of some kind. And there's just kind of a weird kind of creature. It's one of those games, you know, your Last Guardian likes, where you're friends with some sort of creature, and you kind of sort of work with them. You're not controlling them, but they're, you know, you work with them and do puzzles together, and they help you and stuff. And I don't know. There's got to be a name for that genre, right? It's like, I don't know. Friendly monster companion games. I'm not sure, but it does look good. Visually, it looks really nice. The style is really good. I like the monster guy. I will say that this kind of game is tricky to do. You know, like with Last Guardian, they tend to be kind of divisive because it's just like trying to control or give commands to this helper character is kind of weird, and when it doesn't work out, that can create some kind of friction. So I don't know, I'm curious to see if they pull it off, because it does look really nice. Then we had a lovely trailer for Resident Evil Requiem. If I haven't mentioned it before, I am greatly looking forward to this game, and this one went a little bit more into the story, seems to have introduced us to something of an antagonist, and the big reveal, the big surprise, Leon's in the game. He's even playable. And I had it spoiled. I was bummed. I had it spoiled by news media sites. To be fair though, it's a new game where they return to Raccoon City. It's starring a new character. I mean, you know, she's got connections to the other, like the greater universe, but you know, for all intents and purposes, she's a new character. So like, of course they're going to bring back Leon. Like, of course he's overdue for inclusion in a game. I would have been more shocked if he didn't come back. We all thought he was going to be like the main character of this one. So we were surprised when it was revealed to be her. But apparently, it's kind of both. Like it's almost like not two separate campaigns, but the way they're talking about it, it's, you know, you have chapters with both. And they're actually making it so that his sequences, whatever, his parts are more action heavy, and then her parts are more horror heavy, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, it's not the first time that they have experimented with this sort of thing. You know, even like six kind of had like the different vibes for each character. You know, Leon's was a little bit more horror, and then you go over to Chris and it'd be more action or whatever. And the Revelations games had you really jumping around a lot, so those would kind of like shift like the tone or the gameplay. So it's totally in line with like, you know, Resident Evil games, but it seems to be kind of a cleaner split between the two. But I mean, that's perfect though, because, you know, 4 was the game that brought it more into action territory. It's Leon. He's all full of one-liners and stuff. So having that for him, and then more horror for her, she's a less experienced person in this world, so she's going to be a lot more vulnerable, and I don't know, I just think it's great. So now you have like horror and action. You can make it first person or third person. Oh, I just realized this second, that was me realizing I didn't know which I wanted to do, first person or third person, and they even said themselves, first person is more scary, third person, I tend to like the gameplay a little bit more, but you can just choose. There you go. First person for her, third person for him. Oh man, it's perfect. I'm looking forward to the game. I was genuinely worried. I didn't know which I was going to choose. That makes the decision very easy. So that's fun. That was fun. Even gave us a little gameplay clip at the end of Leon doing all his crazy finishers. I am really excited. Then we got the reveal of the next Jonathan Blow game. Wow, that guy comes out of his cave once every 10 years to give us a new game, the thing he's been working on, and this is it. This is the latest one. I don't want to the topic of the guy, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. This game right here, I don't know, it's you know, he's been working on it for like 10 years or close to 10 years or something. And, you know, he was one of the earliest famous indie developers. Braid was one of the first famous indie games ever. So like he's got the name. So yeah, coming after 10 years and delivering a puzzle game, just like an intricate puzzle game. It is in character. I would say that it's certainly in character. And I don't know, mechanically, it does look interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a great game. And yeah, 1,000+ puzzles. I don't know if he's got a team working for him or what, or if it's just him sitting there designing puzzles this whole time. But yeah, it's a lot of puzzles. It seems you've got these like 4 different themes that kind of spill over each other. This is the kind of game that you could just get lost in and play forever. And I may have been interested in at some point. I can't even look at it now. I just it's so complex. There's so many moving parts. I just like, oh, no, thank you. I'm sorry. No, thank you. And then I will say it was kind of funny, the narration, the trailers being narrated by one of the characters. And at one point, it kind of sounds like he's trying to hype up the game itself. Because he literally says something like, you know, because these different themes kind of spill over each other. It's like alternate realities or something. And he's like, but these landscapes, they're not just like mashed together willy-nilly. It's actually like really, he's like trying to convince us. This world that I am in is actually really well designed. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. So then they revealed a game called Exodus. And it's like, I bring this up, not because it's something that I'm interested in, but because it seemed particularly, I don't know if there's a word I could use to say what it was particularly. It looks like good, kind of like on just the surface elements you're looking at it. You're like, it looks like a perfectly fine AAA sci-fi action game, you know, looks like a decently high budget, art, animation, everything is pretty good. I think it's just notable for how absolutely generic it looks. And like, we get a lot of generic stuff, but so often the most generic stuff is like multiplayer shooters. So it's like, it's way easier to just kind of like brush it off and just be like, okay, whatever. But this is like, I don't know. This seems to be like a single player epic sci-fi thing. I believe this is a new IP. So it's like, I feel like this should feel better. I should come away from this, like there's something about the trailer that I'm trying to like. I think that's what it is. That's what's weird about it. There's like this weird friction where I feel like it deserves to be liked more. The problem is every element, everything in this trailer, it's all bog standard sci-fi. Like every time a new alien pops up, because at first I didn't know what it was, and I was like, oh, it's one of those aliens. Is this Star Wars? Oh no, wait, it's one of the, no, this is definitely Marvel? I think that's a Marvel character. That guy's definitely from a Marvel movie. Like, it's just like there's not a crumb of originality anywhere in this trailer. Like every single, even right now, I'm clicking around and every single screenshot that I see, except for the orangutan one, there's an orangutan in it. But that was it. That was the crumb. That was the crumb of originality. Everything else just looks like it could be from a number of different games. All of it. It's like, that's Mass Effect. That's another Marvel looking thing. That's Star Wars. That, I don't know. There's just no originality like whatsoever. It's a sci-fi game with a guy in a sci-fi power suit. So yeah, I don't know. It's just a shame. You need to do a little bit more. If you're going to put this much effort into a game, you gotta do a little bit more than this to differentiate it, man. So then they revealed a new Control game, Control Resonant, and I did not play Control. I've not really played any of the developers' games. I hear really, really great things about them, and I know that I should. I had my eye on Control. It's one of those things where, like, the whole, like, the story and the aesthetic and everything, the visuals, really into. I just don't know about the gameplay, not particularly attracted to it. So I don't know if this is the sort of thing that I will play, but I want to, because it does look really incredibly cool. This trailer was really fun to watch. It's just really, really, really trippy. Very reality bendy. I'm very into that stuff. It's got a really big scope. There's just a lot of really awesome shots in this trailer. So yeah, on an artistic level, I am interested. I don't know if I will be into the gameplay, but we'll see. Okay, so this was confusing. It's still confusing. It's still confusing even right now. They revealed 2 Tomb Raider games. 2 of them. They are releasing back-to-back 1 year after another. And usually when you hear that, it's like, oh, Nintendo's doing 2 Mario games. Well, one's going to be a real one, and another's going to be like a spin-off or whatever. Is the second one a mobile game? No. They are both full Tomb Raider games. There's Tomb Raider Catalyst, and there is Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. But Catalyst is a sequel. But from my understanding, I haven't looked too deep into it, from what everyone was telling me, it's not a sequel to the reboot series. It's a sequel to some of the original games. I think this may be like a Crash 4 situation where you had some games and then there were a lot of games over the years, but then they got like decanonized and then they did a sequel to the original. So it sounds like this could just be a sequel to the first. So like a deboot, as it were. And then Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis is like a remake of the first game. But both of them seemed, do they have different actors? They have kind of like different styles, except the thing is, in one of them, the one that's a sequel, she looks like the Lara Croft from the reboot series, but it's not from the reboot series. So I'm still not 100% sure. Maybe it's true that it's within that. Never mind. I don't know. I'm not going to try to figure it out. There's 2 Tomb Raider games. And there are some combinations of reboots and remakes and deboots and, yeah, I don't know, man. But as someone who did not like the originals and had a really hard time playing the demos when I was a kid, but did quite a lot like the reboot trilogy, or rather the first game, and then the second game was all right, and then I didn't play the third one. From my perspective, I really don't know. I don't have any... I really have no idea how I feel about this. Next, they revealed a game called Orbitals. This is apparently a Switch 2 exclusive, at least, for now. I wouldn't count on that remaining true forever, but at least for now, it's a Switch 2 exclusive. And to get the the slightly nitpicky part out of the way first. There's such a trend now of just the most incredible looking games. The most just visually striking games. And my blood's all up and I'm watching and I'm like, oh, this looks amazing. And then it's a co-op game. Man, there's a space for co-op games. And I'm happy for people who play co-op games with their friends and they have a great time. I just don't. I do not do it very much. So realistically, I could play a co-op game and I would have fun. Realistically, though, I'm just not gonna. Is it really just It Takes Two? Is it just that guy with his co-op games and they do really well? Is that why this is now like a genre? I don't know. Point is, though, these visuals are incredible. So cool. I think it's, we complain about originality in the game sphere. We complain about, games, not looking original enough, looking too much like other games. I think it's awesome that we can say we lived in a period of video games where people were still innovating, where people were still achieving things that have not been achieved before. You know what I mean? This game captures the look and the feel of retro anime so perfectly. I've never seen a game that looks quite like this. It's that cel-shaded thing where even the gameplay, when you pause it, it looks like it's straight out of an old anime movie. It just looks really, really incredibly cool. Like, sure, obviously it's not like perfect one-to-one. You've got like 3D background elements and stuff. But like the characters and the animations and everything, it's just cool. Just cool. Then they revealed another Star Wars game, which was another like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this again. 2 in 1 presentation. It's like pod racers. It's like racing. I hated that game. I'm sure it was a me issue. I just couldn't get the controls down. I thought it was terrible. But a lot of people, a lot of fond memories. I'm actually not sure if they've done a racing game between then and now. They probably have. This is probably a whole series, but in my mind, I'm like, oh, look, they're doing a new pod racing game. There's that guy. There's that Saboba guy. So this is one where, like, I totally admit that this is coming from a non-fan. So, like, I don't really know, like, what the general consensus is going to be. This is a very, like, casual armchair perspective here. But Jeff teased some really huge reveal. Like, he teased this like it was like the Okami 2 reveal. A game reveal. Like, there's a lot of world premieres in this presentation, but this one gets the orchestra behind it. The orchestra is playing a special song, and there's a video behind them, and it's this long, super crazy reveal. And the doors open up, and it's Mega Man! Oh! Mega Man is back! And then they cut to the gameplay, and it's like, oh. They're doing that again. They're doing that again, huh? So, like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to rant about it, like, for too long. It's just kind of like, didn't you do this already? Didn't we already have, like, you spoke and we listened. Mega Man is like a return to form. It's just like the original games. Haven't they done that a couple times now? The last one was, it was like 8 years ago. A couple times. A classic style Mega Man. It's just like, I don't know. I'm not saying there's no market for that kind of thing, but I also don't feel like it's worth the massive buildup. It just doesn't look super great. Like, I don't know, it's Capcom. Like, they make really amazing looking games. And that's not to say it, like, looks bad. It just doesn't look like particularly anything. And, like, the movement physics, it really is just imitating the classic games pretty much perfectly. I mean, like, that's the thing, though, is, like, you had, like, the NES games, and then you had, like, the Super NES games, and those were way more fluid, and there was so much more action, but, like, every time they do, like, a return, it feels so, like, stilted, so rooted in, like, the first games. I don't know. It just seems like you could be doing so much more with Mega Man. It just seems strange at this point. And, again, 2027. Like, this cute little classic Mega Man, you're gonna have to wait up to 2 years for it. I don't get it. To be fair, To be completely fair, very recently Capcom came out and said, we haven't been using Mega Man, we want to use Mega Man more, so we absolutely want to put way more into Mega Man, so in the near future we may be seeing a lot more Mega Man. It could be that this is kind of just the beginning of this new Mega Man initiative. They just wanted to like return to roots, go back to basics again for the however many time, and maybe we'll get more stuff from here. Yeah, I don't know. Just felt a little disappointing, but yeah, it sounds like there's at least a good number of like Mega Man. Someone in chat was saying the real hardcore Mega Man fans are happy for the most part. So hey, if that's true, then I am very happy for you. So then the final big reveal. What's it a big reveal for? A multiplayer hero shooter. And it's just like, he tried to hype it up because it's like a lot of the people who did like Titanfall, you know, like it's a very highly, some very highly regarded games. There's definitely some real star power here. And I don't doubt that the game is good. You know, I was saying this in the stream, just kind of like, if you had showed me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, hey, that looks pretty good. Like, it looks like a perfectly fine, you know, it looks more visually striking than other certain live service games that I could mention that came out this year. It's another hero shooter. I just can't. I don't know. I just can't. I mean, I know I'm not the only one. General consensus seems to be it was a really lame thing to end the presentation on. I don't know. Just how can you pretend to be excited about stuff like this? So now let's talk about the show itself and the awards and all of the shenanigans. There sure were a lot of celebrities, just so many. Every year, it's just more and more. And none of us care one bit. Not a single person watching this show cares about any one celebrity appearance. And yet, like, that's how he competes with the Super Bowl, I guess. He feels like there's gotta be star power. And like, it's already such a humongous corporate endeavor. All these sponsors, they gotta be pulling in so much money. And they gotta be spending 3/4 of it. Like, keep the money. Be rich. I don't even care. But like, just spending it all on these celebrity appearances we just don't care about. There's so many. Just countless celebrity appearances. And I lied. One was worth something. Putting Werner Herzog in a Warframe ad. That was pretty good. And then, okay, well, Muppet appearances don't count as celebrity appearances. Obviously, they are on another level. And golly, I gotta hand it to Jeff. I don't know who he's hiring to like figure all this stuff out and write this stuff. But like, man, they have brought it. The Muppet appearances are always nice, but like most of the time, like up until last year, they were very just kind of like, who's here? Oh, it's Pepe. Look, he's taking selfies. Or it's like, oh, it's Animal. He's just like, they didn't really like do anything. No, scratch that. The very first year, they did have a whole bit with Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker and like a goose. It was like Untitled Goose Game. So they did do a whole bit. So that was good. But most of the time, it's just kind of like, I don't know. They just kind of show up and they make some jokes and that's it. But then last year, they had Statler and Waldorf. And that was incredible because they like genuinely tore him a new one. Like they just mercilessly made fun of Jeff and the show. It was awesome. And they kind of did the same thing this year, but like they brought it to a new level. They didn't just bring Piggy, they brought Ralph. And at the end, they even perform a musical number. They sing a little song. And again, like no holds barred, making fun of the show for being stupid and worthless. And like mentioning a bunch of video games, like hearing Ralph the dog mentioning Silk Song. It's quite novel. And yeah, I don't know. It was a good song. They both sang it together. There's like a bit how they're improvising it. And I mean, it's classic Muppet Show, you know? Ralph on the piano and another character singing and they're riffing off each other. It's a genuine Muppety sketch right there. I mean, no, it was obviously that was the best thing to come out of the Game Awards this year. It was excellent. Just excellent. Say whatever you want about the entire show. What they did there. The first two Piggy appearances were that same kind of like, oh, haha, she's here. Haha, she's very You know, she was like suggesting that they had a romantic past. I guess that was pretty funny. But for the most part, it was just kind of whatever. It's what you would expect. Yeah. And then they hit us with the song at the end with Ralph. That's good. That's good stuff. Oh, and then, you know, right, beyond video games, we actually did get some movie stuff. I'm not going to show any of that footage here for copyright reasons, but we got a few seconds of the Mario Galaxy movie. Wow. Amazing. A single joke. Nice. And then Street Fighter. I didn't know or forgot that they're making a new Street Fighter movie. And it's very much styled in like classic Street Fighter style. Looks pretty visually punchy, no pun intended. I'm not a Street Fighter guy, and I don't know how the movie will end up being, but from where I'm sitting, it seems to be the exact kind of Street Fighter movie that they should have made. So yeah, looks pretty cool. Oh, speaking of content creators, seeing Max Dude in a little Capcom commercial with Maggie Robertson, that's fun. Flute Guy. Man, what can we say about Flute Guy at this point? This guy is a genius, both musically and comedically. And this year, I did not think, I just like, where do you go? You know, like, he starts out, he's going crazy on the flute, and everyone loves it. And then from there, he does this shtick where the instruments are changing size. Every time the camera cuts to him, it's like they're like getting bigger and smaller, and like it's so funny. So this year, I'm just like, where do you go from there? What do you do? What could you possibly do? And somehow, he did it. This year, it was about weird flutes. Again, every time the camera cuts back to him, for each different game represented in the whole medley, he's got a different, like, progressively weirder wind instrument. Like, these more weird and bent things. One is like a tiny little thing. It's literally a necklace. It's like an ocarina as big as your thumb. And he's got one, I'm pretty darn sure he just whipped together with PVC before the show. Like, I don't know. He's a genius. And of course, he can play all of these perfectly, like so passionately. He's a treasure. He's an absolute treasure. I hope Jeff's paying him well, because he's carrying these shows. And then okay, here's the thing. You know, he's awesome. He's great. But like, gosh, what about all these other people? These are other like really talented and passionate musicians. Like, don't they deserve some credit? And I feel like this year in particular, you had a lot that were just trying to stand out, you know, in some way. I can't blame them. It's really funny. One guy's got it's like a glass trumpet. It's like a crystal trumpet or something. I've never seen anything like that. You had like the drummer had like big colorful sunglasses. Like, you gotta have something. You gotta have a thing, you know, you want to stand out. The one lady had a glittery double guitar. Awesome. Fantastic. And now we get to the awards themselves. Awards in an award show? You gotta be kidding me. I know, it's crazy. Yeah, DK Bonanza won Family Game of the Year, and that was really nice. I mean, you know, obviously, like, it's the family category. It's the Nintendo category. DK was nominated for Game of the Year, but there was no reality where he was gonna win Game of the Year. It's my Game of the Year. So family, that's the Nintendo one, and I thought Mario Kart would get it. I really did, but DK won, and that was a really, really nice, pleasant surprise. And then Doug Bowser even got to accept it, which is really nice, because I don't know when he's leaving Nintendo exactly, but it's got to be pretty darn soon here. So it was nice to see him perhaps one last time to accept the award. That's cool. Moist Critical won Content Creator of the Year, which is really funny. Very fitting. Very fitting, because people were telling me that he was like begging them not to choose him. You know, like obviously his chat like went crazy, but they were saying that he was just like, no, please don't pick me. So I'm very pleased that they picked him, because that is the funniest possible outcome. And he was a content creator that was nominated and that I actually know who he is. That is a rare thing. Obviously, the awards are all pointless, but there were a few slightly frustrating disappointments in there. Putting Indie Game of the Year in the pre-show is ridiculous. It's already ridiculous that there are so many awards that they give out like quickly, like they just kind of burn through them, like they don't do the whole like song and dance. They just kind of like, and this winner of this one is this, and the winner of this one is this, so it's like a throwaway. But then the ones in the pre-show, that's even weirder. There should not be any awards in the pre-show. How is that even a pre-show? But yeah, putting indie game of the year, that should be one of the big ones. You know, like you have game of the year, best performance, best music, best multiplayer game, best indie game. You know, if you sort them all, like it's gotta be up at the top. That's such a big deal, especially like they're trying to acknowledge indie games. This whole entire presentation was a massive celebration of how all these indie games are making the list. That's great. You can't make the indie category a throwaway in the pre-show. That is just absurd. Then there was the Player's Voice Award. This is the one award, kind of like an unofficial award. It's the only one that is voted on purely by the community. No panels of judges or whatever. It's just people on the internet voting. And apparently there is a game called Wuthering Waves. I've not heard of it before, but I guess it's the latest, like, nasty gotcha MMO slop game from what everyone was telling me. And it won because the game offered in-game rewards to people who went and voted for it. So it's just like, cool. We can't even have that. We can't even have an award that's like legitimately voted on by people. It's still gonna get hijacked by some nasty corporate entity. Cool, thanks. So, as expected, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 did indeed win Game of the Year. That was not surprising, but perhaps I was a little surprised by how completely it swept the show. I did know it would get a lot of awards, but no, I was still pretty surprised. It's the most nominated game in Game Awards history, as well as the most winned game in Game Awards history. It took so many different categories in addition to Game of the Year. So that was pretty interesting. And, you know, like I sure, yeah, great. Like they're the darlings of the year. And I think that's awesome. I know there's the whole like, oh, how could you nominate them for Indie of the Year? Are they even really indie? Does indie mean independent, or is it the size of the team? Honestly, I'm so tired of those conversations. I really don't even care. But I think it's cool. They're not the littlest guys possible, but compared to the rest of the industry, it still is pretty much a case of the little guys coming out on top, and that's always a nice thing. And finally, how did I do in my predicting? Not great. I think last year, didn't I get like 3/4 of them or something? Pure dumb luck. I'm not good at predicting. So yeah, this time out of 29 categories, I got 10 right. And pretty much all of the ones that I got right were just obvious. Most of them were just Clair Obscur. So yeah, and then I think one pure dumb luck one was giving Doom the accessibility award. That was just a pure shot in the dark, and I got it. So yeah, not my best here. And that is it for the 2025 Game Awards. Overall, I don't even know. I feel like it used to be a lot easier to give like a solid opinion on the whole thing. I don't even know. It was the Game Awards. There were a couple really big cool things. There were a couple funny things. There was a whole lot of nothing. It's fine. Yeah, I don't know. Let's say it was fine. I'd give it a B-. It's like by Game Awards standards, like C+ to B-. And that's the end. Have a good day.